The overall performance wasn't, I don't think, a good enough performance to win the game. I think we got the ball into a lot of good areas, a lot of good crossing positions, and defensively we looked okay. Apart from a few incidences, and of course a couple of them circumstances led to goals, which is something that we've been very good at in this form. So yes, I thought we conceded 2 poor goals, which, as we've been, is even more disappointing.
But you flip it on its head and you look back at your results, 7 games unbeaten, a brilliant run of form that I imagine you're hoping is just a bump in the road and continues from now on. Yeah,
well, we hope so. That's part and parcel of management, and definitely part and parcel of managing in this league, where every game is a tough game. We've seen the type of results. Anybody can get a result, and if you're not playing at your best, then you've got to be a little bit fortunate. And sometimes when you're not at your best, things can go against you. And that's what they did. But the responsibility now for the team is to bounce back from that and get back onto winning ways.
And just sticking with last night, and you've answered it a bit already, but what went wrong last night, would you say, in comparison to the games that have gone well recently?
Well, I think we probably didn't cope with the opposition, and they have a specific way of playing, and what you've got to do is you've got to have runners to nullify perhaps some of the qualities that they've got, and probably we didn't hurt them or didn't play the game in the areas that could have hurt them. But that can happen. That happens in a lot of games, and it's then about making sure that you are solid enough as a unit. So yes, we didn't play well enough. That's obvious. But again, probably the disappointing one was we conceded 2 poor goals, which we haven't been.
Okay, so yeah, looking ahead now to the weekend, the FA Cup, and it's not an easy one, is it? Swansea, who are doing well in the league themselves. What challenges do you think they'll pose this weekend?
Well, I think the challenges are what you've just spoke about. They're a team that are doing very well in the league. I think they were added to their squad, so I think they'll look to finish this season, with perhaps an even better squad. They are a side that don't concede a lot of goals, so I think for all of the way that they play and the quality that they've got, they're a very resolute team. And as they don't concede a lot of goals, so that's the challenge. It's of course away from home as well, which is another challenge. But it is a one-off game, and we need to make sure that we provide ourselves with perhaps a little bit more than what we did last night.
And where does the FA Cup sit for you this season? Obviously, the league, I imagine, is priority, trying to get out of this battle that you're in. But how important could the Cup be? I suppose it could be an opportunity for more good form.
Well, it's an opportunity for those who haven't played regular, and for some that haven't played at all to get an opportunity. But it's also about continuity. And in this recent run that we've had, there was a cup victory in that, and we will certainly want to go into the game wanting to get through to the next round. So I think it is really about a little bit of consistency, a bit of confidence, but also, I say, for those that haven't played as much football as what they would have liked, an opportunity for them as well.
Yeah, what have you said to those players who are chomping at the bit of it, really, to get out on the pitch? This is their opportunity. What have you said to them ahead of the weekend?
The normal things, what you're saying to them, week in, week out. That it's about what they do in training. It's about that opportunity. And the unfortunate thing in this game is that you can only pick 11 players for a game, and you are either going to be the type of manager that rotates the squad a lot, and sometimes during a good period you don't do that. So it's about very much keeping them on their toes. Thankfully, for me, I've got a good group of lads that generally train well, and as I say, specifically those that haven't played the games that they would like to.
Lovely. Thanks, Chris. That's all from me. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Colin?
Hi, Chris. Hiya.
Yep, fine, thank you.
Good. Chris, can we start with an update on Ryan Yates, if you know anything more from what happened last night? How is he?
Yeah, well, he felt his calf. He at one stage thought that he could continue, but then obviously that wasn't the case. So a little bit sore this morning. He'll certainly miss the weekend, and really probably over the next couple of days. Then it will really be determined on how long it's going to keep him out. But yeah, a big blow for us.
Yeah, in an area, we touched on this last night, but in an area that you seem to have a lot of injuries and picked up, not necessarily just now, but over the course of the season, it's been a tough position, that one for you, hasn't it?
It has, and when you get a problem like that, then generally the way to solve it is by having a bit of consistency and having players or at least a couple of players that have consistently been available to you. And of course, Ryan is probably, at the top of the list when it comes to, availability and of course not being injured. So yes, it is a problem position for us. And what we have done is dropped Cafu in, which is not a natural position for him, but we've dropped him into a deeper position in a 2. But yes, it's a problem position for us, and it's one that we're going to, in whichever way, we're going to have to solve.
You've got the likes of Jack Colback and Fouad Kabak and I think Harry Arter as well more recently have picked up knocks. Are you able to call on any of those soon if you need to?
The only one would be Basharou, who's been training with us for a while and will be in the squad for the Swansea game. Harry Arter's still a little way away. I think he's not too bad. We're hoping he's going to train next week. Jack is, of course, a few more weeks after him.
So potentially a first chance for you to have a look at Fouad Basharou, because you've not seen him competitively all season long, have you?
No, that's true. But he's had a couple of bouts of training. One in particular a month or so ago, where he then broke down again. But he's been training, say, for about 10 days now. The decision to put him in the squad was probably based on what we have at the moment and the fact that he's trained well. But we are conscious that he hasn't played any football. I think it's since the Barnsley game. So that we're very, very conscious of. But certainly good to have him in the squad.
For the third round, Chris, obviously you made a number of changes, and a lot of the players who perhaps have been on the bench got their chance to play from the start. Without giving too much away, is it fair to say that the same sort of thing is on your mind for this next round?
Yes, I think it is fair to say that. And I think what we showed in the last round is that we have a group of players that, particularly the ones that haven't played so much football, are desperate to play and put in a good account of themselves. And that's what I would be expecting again come Saturday.
And it's not easy, is it, in those situations, because they're a group of players who aren't used to playing alongside each other. They obviously do in training, but in terms of match practice, it's kind of difficult, isn't it, to chuck that many players in and get the sort of performance actually that you did against Cardiff, so strong defensively.
Yeah, well, the circumstances and the situations that what you lean on what they do in training. You lean on the fitness levels that they've managed to keep themselves at. You lean on the experiences that they have, and of course the fact that the lift they get from playing the game and the adrenaline they get from playing the game, and of course you never know how that's going to pan out, and how you never know how individually how that's going to pan out until that situation arises. But you very much hope that the occasion will be, a big enough lift for them. And this is a very tough game, and we certainly know, and anybody that comes in will know that we're going to a team that have had a very good season. They will start as very much as favourites, and we're going to have to dig deep to get some type of result.
They don't give opponents very much, do they? Whether it's at the Liberty Stadium or away from home, they are very, very stingy in terms of goals conceded.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they credit to the manager and the club and what they've done regarding the team is that they can play quite an expansive game, 3 at the back and 2 wing backs fairly high, and they get great value from the 2 front players. So they've got a system that is worked, and sometimes that system is seen as very much an offensive system. But I think they've done a great job in the defensive work that they do. And to say, I don't know the facts, but there certainly wouldn't be, I don't think, many teams, or if any teams, that have conceded less goals than what they have this season.
We touched on this after the draw had been made, but the 5th round draw gives both you and Swansea a huge incentive, doesn't it?
It's a great incentive, but I can honestly tell you that that's not something that's on my mind, because what has to be on my mind is very much this game. And of course, if we don't get put in the performance or don't get the result that we need, then of course the next round is immaterial. And of course, on most occasions, you are not aware of what that is anyway. On most occasions, so no, it's very much about concentration on this one and hopefully getting the result in this one.
And I guess starting another unbeaten run as soon as you can after the hiccup in midweek.
Yeah, very much so, because we've spoke about not being in a comfortable position in the league, and until we get ourselves further away from the bottom 3 as such, and certainly more points, then it's still very uncomfortable. So yes, we need to, whether that's a run or not, but certainly we need to start getting back to picking up league points.
Because it shows, doesn't it? I mean, you can go on that run as you did of 7 unbeaten, 6 in the league, and obviously the Cardiff Cup tie, and then 1 defeat, and you're suddenly looking over your shoulder again because of how precarious the position is. But given 6 games in the league unbeaten, that shows how difficult it is to get away, doesn't it?
It does, and it shows that the results that other teams are also getting, around similar positions in the league. And I can remember looking at the league table, I think last season, when Stoke were in a difficult position. I think a new manager had come in, and they went on a really good run, not winning every game, but went in on a really good run of picking up results. And I know they were a fair way, I think, when they started, but it was a long time before they got out of what you regard as the troubled areas. So yes, it can happen, but so it's up to us to make sure that we get the results that I say that can make it a little bit more comfortable for us.
And just finally from me, a couple more January days have gone by. Chris, how's the work off the field and in terms of transfer business?
Well, continuing, and and I think you see the market at the moment, and there has been some movement in the sort of lower divisions, and of course some in ours, but still not a great amount of movement elsewhere. So we are still in there. We're still pushing as hard. It's a very difficult time, January, because what again is important is that anybody that comes in, there's got to be a value in bringing that individual in, as opposed to bringing numbers in. So we're working as hard as possible.
That's lovely. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Colin.
All the best of the weekend.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Colin. Sarah?
Hi, Chris. You okay?
Sarah, I'm good, thank you.
Good. It sounds like Ryan Yates' injury is potentially not too serious. Is that right? Or
Well, we hope not.
or not?
Yeah, I mean, what will happen is I think whenever you have an injury, I think you have to allow a certain amount of time just for it to settle down, and then you will scan it, and then generally a scan will tell you the extent of the injury. At this moment, it's a calf injury, but of course it's really about what the extent of it is that will determine how long he's out for. So it seems like it's nothing more than that. That's what it seems like at this moment, say that but to what grade it is will determine how long he's out for.
I might have missed this, but what was Harry Arter's injury? What's he done?
I think Harris is a similar position. It's his calf. There's a medical term that goes for it, but us old-fashioned ones like just to refer to it as your calf. But I do think there is a medical term for it.
Is he? I mean, you said he's a little bit away, but is he close, Harry, to being back involved?
Yeah. Well, I think we're thinking that he could be training next week. So that's what we're hoping anyway. So he is close, yes. And I would think that certainly if it's not next week, then it's very close to that. But we're hoping it's next week.
I know you've talked about kind of trying to get consistency before and trying to get that balance with giving players a chance. How difficult is it then going into this cup game and trying to do that on the back of a defeat particularly?
Very difficult because there are lots of things that go through your mind, and what you always have to do is you have to let time settle, because from a team that I might have in my mind, half an hour after yesterday's game, might be different to what it would be first thing this morning, and that's the emotions of the game, and that's the type of decisions that we have to make. But decisions are always based on one, picking a team that can get a result. Two, making sure we do have some slight injury problems, and making sure that we're not going to make that any worse. And of course, players that, as they did in the last round, came in and very much proved their worth.
Had you had a chance to look at the red card from last night again?
Yes, I have. Yes.
What were your thoughts on it?
Well, I think it was that moment of the game, and there's no doubt that there was, I think, a bit of provocation, sort of both sides, both ways. It's a tense period of the game. We want to get on with the game, to try and get back in the game. I think as regards Yuri's part in that, this day and age, I think if you are to put your head, even though we didn't think there was great movement, but what he has done, he's lent his head into the opponent player's head, and in this day and age, that is generally, if the referee sees it, that is generally going to be a red card. So that's something that we don't have any complaints about, because that's the way the game is now. There's no doubt there was provocation, and I think that the lad also, I think, exaggerated the touch, which I don't think probably went down too well with the referee. But I think I think from as regards the red card, it's normal these days.
Generally, discipline's been pretty good, hasn't it, in recent weeks? Is it something that you've re-emphasised perhaps to the players on the back of that?
Yes, spoke about it afterwards, and we'll continue to do that. And I think these are the emotions of the game, and it goes to show you, Yuri is a model. Professional. He's competitive. Wants to do well, and these are the emotions of the game. But yes, you have to. Even as regards, giving fouls away in areas that possibly will benefit the teams that we're playing against, and so it is that the game is about discipline, and making sure that we can keep as disciplined as possible.
Can I ask you about Tyler Blackett and whether he's a possibility perhaps to come into that left back role maybe on Saturday, or he's not really been involved yet? I know he's been injured. I just wondered if he's kind of back fully available.
Yes, he's back fully available, and he's another one that, yes, will be in the squad to travel tomorrow. So it's good he's been back for a period of time now. What we have had, of course, is again, big competition in that left back position, and certainly on the run that we've been on, in Uri, of course, I think he's done well in that period. But so really good to have Tyler back and back in the squad.
I know he can obviously play in the centre as well, Tyler. But do you see him very much as competition for that left back role?
I think what we have with Tyler, I see probably three positions. He can play left of a 2 at the back, certainly left of a 3 at the back, but generally, that's a formation that I haven't used a lot. Generally, as most would have seen me, it's generally a back 4. So in that one, I would see his 2 best positions as left side centre half or left back. But he would be a player that, if you look at his history and where he's played most of his football, the large majority of his football would have been played at left back.
No, we talked a little bit about transfers. I just wondered if you're expecting a busy week coming up. Now it's going into the last few days. Well,
it will be a busy week. Whether we get anything done or business-wise, it'll be a busy week as regards. Continue looking at videos and phone calls and what have you. But as regards bringing anybody in, then that I don't know. But as I say, we're working as hard as we can.
So have your thoughts changed throughout January much about what you think you can do or what you want to do?
They can do, and as I said, it's a very emotional game, and us as managers are very much involved in it. And one performance where you don't do so well, then you're thinking, well, maybe we need that position or that position, and then that changes the next game and the next game. But I think we've been fairly consistent on our thoughts, and I have shared them with you. It's the area that we've needed to improve is the ability to score more goals, and I think we've been fairly consistent in that. But as I say, it's the emotion of good and bad results, and of course injuries.
Do you enjoy it, the buzz around the transfer window, or is it something that you wish you didn't have at this time of the season?
Well, I can tell you, we have got 31 days in January. Yeah, I enjoy the 31st of January probably the most, and I think that's the same with a lot of managers, because what you want to be doing is you want to be spending all of your time concentrating on the team, the training, your pre-match work, your post-match work. That's what you want to be doing. You find you're spending a lot of time, watching a lot of players and a lot of videos, and of course, the large majority of that doesn't come to fruition. So, but I don't dislike it. It is part and parcel of the game. And it's all, of course, for the benefit of the team and the club.
Thanks, Chris. Good luck for Saturday.
Thank you. Cheers.
Paul.
Hi, Chris.
Good. Hey, Paul.
How you doing?
No, I'm okay. Thank you. I'm okay.
Good. Just one on transfers from me. A lot of the players that you've been linked with seem to be potential loan additions. Is that something we should read into? You're more likely to make loan additions than permanent ones in January?
Yeah, I think probably that would be fair to say. I think but I think that would be perhaps the norm, and I think, and the norm probably because if you look at a sort of a general sort of process and a process of signing players, that process probably lends itself a little bit more better to the summer, where you're playing into all summer, where more perhaps end of contracts come about. So I think you'll generally find that one. But that would be fair to say.
Just in terms of your midfield issues at the minute, it feels as though they might ease quite a bit by the time you face Barnsley, hopefully.
Well, I think we're Jack Kabak will be a step closer, but at this moment he hasn't trained with us. He's doing some good work with rehab department. He hasn't trained with us. Harry Arter, I think, will be Certainly, I think close. I think certainly close. Basharou is, as we spoke about, is in the squad for tomorrow, but of course has been out, a long time. And his last game would have been the Barnsley Cup game, I think, the Barnsley FA Cup game, which was, of course, a long time ago. So yes, I think we're closer, and of course, hopefully the news on Ryan is not too bad.
I might have missed this along the way, but what's Basharou's problem been? What's his injury?
Basharou's was, I think it was his thigh. I'll check that one again, because he had a couple of injuries. I think he went from one to the other, re-injured it, but I think the bigger problem was his thigh, which of course is a muscular.
We were talking to. Yeah. Are there any young players that have caught your eye that might make the step up into the squad from the under-23s or the youth team?
Probably, I think for where we are. I mean, no, there's a few of them that have done well, and I think we've got good development. But if I'm looking at probably for where we are at the moment, Will Swan is the one that, of course, has been up and has trained with us, not been involved, of course, in the games for a little while. So yes, they have, but I think for where we are at this moment, do I see any introduction into the squad, for any of them, apart from Swanee, then probably the answer is no. Certainly with the squad that we've got.
We've just spoken to Carl Jenkinson. He was talking about the kind of mood amongst the squad being good, particularly amongst the fringe players who aren't getting much of an opportunity, even those ones that aren't even in the squad at all regularly. How do you maintain that as a manager? How do you keep players happy who aren't getting a chance very often?
Well, I think that there are two ways. One, you hope you've got good types, and we have, and Carl's a great example. He's one that's spoken to on numerous occasions. Would he like to be playing more? Yes, he would. But does he get on with it? Yes, he does. And I think if you have, and if the experiences are generally no different, however long you are in the game, and there are always going to be the groups of players that are not playing. There's always going to be that training group, like today, the day after a game, and that's, of course, that would be the subs and the ones that, and I think if you've got enough good individuals in that group, they can carry that group, through, if you've got the one or two that's particularly not happy because for whatever reason or so, and that's normal. It's normal emotions of the game. Then I think if you've got a strong enough group, they can almost manage that. And all we do as a staff is we try and keep on top of things as much as possible. The day after the first team, when it's the ones that haven't played a training, then myself and the other coaches are very much involved with that group. And so just to try and make them, to continue to make them feel a big part of it.
Is it important to give them hope, to give them a carrot and give them, maybe a target and say, look, if you do this, you've got a chance of getting in the team?
I think to a degree. I mean, what you still want to talk about, what you think, what are realities. So for most, that is a reality. It's, there are lots of reasons why you've got to stay on top of your training game. And one, that's to make sure you continue to impress, to not give me a reason to not play you. And probably the one that we, are continually saying to players is that, the moment, just say for instance, Cafu, who I'd spoken to on a couple of occasions, a little bit frustrated, even though he trained very well, frustrated that he hadn't played. And the next thing, he finds himself in the team, and I think has played probably 11 consecutive games now. So they have to be ready. because and even if it's for an injury, they have to be ready, and that's their opportunity.
Just one last one on the midfield from me. I'm making a presumption here, but I'm guessing in an ideal world you would have liked to have rested somebody like Samba Sow this weekend. Is that an option you've still got, given the situation that you're in?
It's an option that I have, yes. It's one that I've got to think about also as well, because, you know, very much it's about, you know, putting a team out that we think they can get a result. But at this moment, we're very light in midfield, and so that's the balance that I've got to protect, you know, what I need to protect, and that balance also to put out a good enough side that I think that can get a result. So it's very difficult, but you know, that's part and parcel of what we have to do.